Hello again. Patriotism to one's country is not at all the same thing as loyalty to whichever government happens to be in power. In Norway, for instance, Vidkun Quisling led a government from February 1942 which was pro-German at a time when the German army was occupying the country. His name became a byword for treachery, and shortly after the end of the Second World War, he was executed by firing squad for treason against the Norwegian people. Nobody would have suggested at any time that Norwegians had any obligation to be loyal to Quisling or his government. Indeed, most would agree that they had a duty to resist the government which he led. Similarly, in France, Marshal Pétain and Pierre Laval were also at the head of a collaborationist government during the war, and it was the duty of all patriotic Frenchmen to resist and disobey the government. Laval, like Quisling, was shot by the French when the war ended. In other words, here you had men who had a loyalty to an entity or body or country which lay outside their own country. Although the case is not so clear-cut today as it was with Norway and France during the war, it is nevertheless the case that the present government is headed by men and women who do not owe their primary allegiance to this country. The Prime Minister, for instance, has said openly that he prefers the meetings of the World Economic Forum at Davos to debating in the Houses of Parliament at Westminster. He has described our legislature as a tribal shouting place and a talking shop. That's his opinion of Parliament where our democratically elected representatives speak. He feels that Davos is where things really get done. This is a shocking indication that his loyalties lie outside this country. His deputy, and also the current Lord Chancellor, claims to be a West Indian rather than British. Speaking at a public meeting on the subject of reparations for slavery, David Lammy used the expression "we" when speaking of the interests of the people in the Caribbean. His primary identity lies in a region thousands of miles away. Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood says that her main loyalty is to Islam. She has said that her Muslim faith is the most important thing in her life. She has described Islam as the core of who I am and the absolute driver of everything that I do. Here are three people at the heart of our government whose ultimate motivations lie outside Britain. Like Quisling and Marshal Pétain, they govern this country, but we have no obligation or duty to be loyal to them or even regard them with any respect. Indeed, some would go further and say that just as truly patriotic Norwegians and Frenchmen in the 1940s had a real duty to disobey their governments and frustrate their plans, so too this may be the case now with the government we presently have. If we view their motives as suspect and their policies ruinous to our country, it might be argued that true patriotism would lead us to resist the laws which they seek to impose upon us, things such as identity cards, for instance. When one's politicians are driven by their faith in and commitment to alien ideologies rooted in other countries, it may be our duty to work to prevent the smooth running of government and to seek to prevent certain laws being promulgated or enforced.